I think we hit New York just at the right time if you were British. It couldn't have been timed even if we'd have dreamt it any better. And it was like 96, 97. And ironically, you know, as we all know now, it's kind of like it was Tony Blair had just got in and he was going on about this cool Brittania. You know, I think Princess Diana's face was on every magazine. Everyone was looking at Britain for many reasons. And there was like this, you know, this kind of renaissance in terms of, you know, music and London was, you know, food in London all of a sudden was improving because prior to that all Americans hated it, and service and everything seemed to be in a bit of a changeover phase in terms of the UK. So when we first landed, it was like, wow, this is great because they're really responsive to British design, and I think that was a blessing, really. I mean, we couldn't have planned that, but it was just one of those things, and they still are, really. But it just seemed to be on the tip of everybody's tongue out there when we got there.
But the way that you've done this, or the way you started it, was it's somebody internally has gone out there to start the office, isn't it? It's kind of a colonised and kind of
I suppose because we'd had two noises then, and then we contacted about 12 bookstores in New York and persuaded them to take like 25, 20 or 15 there, kind of I suppose sale or return. But if they didn't want them, we'd just ask them to skip them, to be honest, not return them. And then within a couple of weeks, because we didn't know whether our style of design and our aesthetic would sell in a foreign country, and within a couple of weeks they're all ringing up for more books, and we did that for a while, and we just thought, wow, you know, if they're selling that fast, then obviously, you know, the agencies or the creatives out there obviously must be into it. So, you know, that was kind of a bit of a decision-making thing there. We gave us confidence again to maybe go and establish ourselves there.
And so how did you do it? How did you go about establishing?
Well, unlike London, we didn't have a client. We just had a few kind of promises. Yeah, if you were here, yeah, but obviously I can't really give you a job. It's just a bit too far, and the time zone. And because of the book, probably we took the plunge. And then William, a guy called Will Travis, who really, in terms of, I suppose, winning business and opening doors. I mean, Simon's good, but William's like amazing. He joined us as a school leaver or a university leaver, and we locked him in a room. This is about 18 years ago now, with the yellow pages and a phone when he first arrived, and he just like, you know, he's got more energy than all of us put together. And he was the one who actually we said we knew we'd probably lose Will at that time, because he'd been with us 5 years. He was probably about 23. And we figured he was too big he was in Huddersfield, not London, and he's working with me, and he's just too big for Huddersfield, physically and kind of mentally. And we just thought he's going somewhere else unless we give him a massive hurdle, because that's the kind of thing that certainly some people thrive on. So we gave him this challenge of opening and heading up the New York office, and of course he kind of like being who he is, he jumped at that.
And just on sort of practical level, did you just get an office for him, buy him a plane ticket, give him a budget? How did you do it? How did you go about it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there was we once went to a kind of a conference about exporting and overseas trade, and some kind of, I don't know, delegate or consulate guy said, you need to be export ready. And we were like, well, you know, what's that? And we just thought, well, we've got a passport, so I mean that's probably as, you know, and we're happy to do it. But it seemed to us that there was these huge barriers about export. Seemed to be a really big unknown word, and that trading, and is it going to be in dollars or pounds, and how do you persuade a landlord to sign a lease? And it was actually really easy. I mean, just ringing up a real estate and saying, look, we're coming in, and they're obviously wanting to sell space, so they show you like 25 places in 3 days, and you find a lawyer and the usual things that you'd need back home, really. Sure. You know, and
but because he'd been through that 5 years with you, he knew the culture, he knew the style, totally. He knew the process, and that's kind of pivotal, isn't it?
And five Brits went out with him. So as soon as we were really keen on and still are, that if you answer the phone in New York or any of the overseas offices, that, you know, there's somebody from the UK, really, because I think that fulfills their expectations that it's a British design shop and they're here. And although we did hire a lot of people, part of the kind of overseas visas where, you know, it's like one of yours, one of ours. So you've kind of almost got to, like, you know, match, you know, the number of employees with the number of local people as well, which is fair enough because you need that local knowledge.
Did you send out 5 staff without having a client?
We probably, yeah, we did, because they were, 4 of them were kind of partners. Well, not partners, but 2 of them had 2 partners, and they all went out, and then another one who wanted to go. So
sounds like New Order.